I made the mistake of clicking on an ad. It was about Facebook ads for introverts, and I was really curious what it was because it might be something I recommend to my community, this cool course. But ever since then, I've been getting targeted with so many ads. Oh my God, the pressure, it is wild. But I'm seeing so many people say, people don't... I shouldn't do this voice. People don't buy from you because it's no like and trust. Okay. Or like, the reason people aren't buying as soon as they meet you is because of this. And it's, oh my God. I'm laughing, friends. This is what happens when you've been in the industry for so many years, for literal decades. It's just really funny because marketing is always changing, but the customer journey, the sales journey really doesn't change that much. It's because we have to build the know, like, trust, or familiarity, or a good reputation, or whatever. Like, we have to build that up with people. And it just always cracks me up when people will say this, and yet their marketing and advertising is doing the thing that they say doesn't work anymore. Anyways, it's like, okay, then why are you spending so much on ads? Why have I seen your ad 50 times in the past 2 days? Because the more touch points I see of you, the more I'm going to start to believe you and trust you. Welcome to the Work Less, Play More podcast, home to misfit entrepreneurs just like you, building your business to the beat of your own drum and radical enough to believe you can change the world. I'm your host, Lindsay Johnson, aka the Radical Connector, and I've been teaching entrepreneurs how to sell more with less ick for over 20 years. If you're ready to learn how to use your business to make great money and change the world, you've come to the right place. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Hello. Welcome back to the Work Less, Play More podcast, friends. Okay, so I am a real inconsistent content creator. And the thing is, I actually really, really love creating content. But it's definitely a combination of, one, being busy in my business and in my life, but being busy in my business, going to events, networking, having meetings, having client sessions, running my mastermind, speaking for different organizations. You know, I'm a busy entrepreneur. And because content isn't really what has traditionally driven new business, it's not where I've traditionally gotten clients and customers from, it's never really been my focus. But I love it so much. So that brings me to number 2. My brain is so full of things I want to say and things I want to talk about. And y'all ask me questions all the time that I think, oh, I gotta make that into some content. That is juicy. Whether it's something technical, something theoretical, something philosophical. I've really realized over the years, I love talking about business skills and technical things, but I also really, actually, sometimes even more so, really love talking about personal growth, and specifically the personal growth that we are all forced to go through once we become entrepreneurs. I remember hearing years ago, like honestly, probably decades ago, someone from the stage saying that our businesses will only ever grow as much as we do. And I really took that to heart. And the thing is that the longer that I'm in business and the more people that I work with, the more I can see that that's true. In fact, it's been my experience after 20 plus years in working with new entrepreneurs. It's those who face their fears, who have the same fears and anxieties and imposter syndrome and self-doubt that all of us have, but they face those fears and they do the hard and scary things. They're not committed to fear or committed to excuses or committed to reasons why things won't work. They recognize they have their own internal barriers to success. They have their own funky belief systems that need to be addressed, and that they're going to get it wrong. They're not afraid to be a beginner and get it wrong. And it's kind of cool because, you know, when we're a beginner, we have pretty low stakes. Our audiences are relatively small. Not a lot of eyes are on us yet. We can afford to fall on our face over and over again until we get it right. And I am no different. Heck, even when it comes to creating this content, this year I decided to take the podcast back, even though it's always been my podcast. But when I created content for the podcast, it was always about me interviewing people. A part of that was because it was easier. I could do it faster. It required less prep on my end because I got to let my guests do all the talking. They were the experts. But because I have so many things that I want to talk about, I felt like I was getting really disconnected from my content because YouTube tends to be more how-to videos. Let's be honest, I'm barely on social media, but when I do create social media content, it's usually still more how-to stuff. And the podcast is a place I can really just come and like ramble on about these deeper ideas and topics and theories and philosophies, as I said. It's where I get to share all the parts of me that I want y'all to know about. And so to my point, this is definitely out of my comfort zone. I am used to hiding behind guests or hiding behind how-to content. And it's really vulnerable to put myself out here with my own ideas. Even though if you're in my mastermind or we've ever talked one-on-one, whether we've DM'd on Instagram or we've had a session together or just a coffee, you know I got lots of opinions. I'm not afraid to share them. Unless it's on a public setting. And then I don't know, it's terrifying, friends. It's terrifying. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you are not a content creator, this is a part of that journey. And listen, not every entrepreneur has to create content. You don't have to create content if you don't want to. I mean, from an SEO perspective, I do recommend at the minimum you are blogging just to show up more organically online in Google searches, but you do not have to create content. But if you do want to create content and you're new to this world, it is very nerve-wracking. And I want you to know everyone goes through this. In fact, I've talked with a few different friends over the past couple of weeks who are like big deals in their businesses and in their professions, in their industries. And still they are entering this foray into putting themselves out there on bigger platforms in the form of content marketing. And it's terrifying, and that's okay, because the entrepreneurs or the people in general who succeed are the folks who are not afraid to face their fears and do the scary thing. That being said, I was checking out my blogs. I don't have very many of them. I really don't. But I do have some, and dang, they are so good. And I found one that I wrote like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was reading it and I thought, oh, first of all, Lindsay, you are spicy. Also, this thing holds up. And so I thought I would pull it up and take us through the blog right now. So I am going to link the original blog in the show notes, or you can just go find it on my website. You're going to notice that what I talk about now is going to be slightly different than what you read in the blog. So first things first, the name of this blog is 3 Shocking Reasons Your Digital Course Isn't Selling. And I wrote this because I was so frustrated, as I have been known to be, with all of the people who were coming to me who had bought popular online course programs to help them make their first course. And of course, the marketing and the sales pages, they're all geared towards people who don't have to ever have worked with a single client in their life, and they can create a course. Or they don't have to have an email list or a social media following, and they can create a course. And you're going to go from 0 to 6 figures in 6 months. And all you got to do is create a course. Listen, it is true. You don't have to have an email list or social media following to create a course. You don't even have to have ever worked with anybody or have your own proprietary system or process to create a course. Anyone can create a course anytime. But will the course be good? Will the course be necessary? Will people pay for the course? If people pay for the course and the course isn't good, are they going to want their money back? But here's where things get problematic. A lot of these high ticket programs and courses and things that people purchase, it's teaching you the build it and they will come method. It's teaching you to build the thing, but not teaching you how to sell the thing. And that's why there was this period of time where I had all these people coming to me because they had been caught up in this big marketing push online to get all of these courses and programs and memberships and things to build out their courses or their memberships or their programs and things, and they weren't selling and they didn't know why. So I wrote a blog, but guess what? I don't know how many people read it because I have a pretty small blog following. Let me take you through what I told those people and also what I put down in the blog. I start off by saying, your new digital course is brilliant, so why the heck isn't anybody buying it? I see this all the time with new entrepreneurs, and I'd be lying if I didn't say it drives me bonkers to see you investing your money into courses that promise to make you a six-figure earner in 6 months or less with your own digital course when you don't have the whole picture of what it really takes to create and launch a successful digital course. Now, are you ready for my top 3 shocking reasons your digital course isn't selling? Number 1, you're not ready to create a course. So here's the sucky news. And this is hands down the hardest pill to swallow, and where your inner child wants to kick and scream and throw a wee bit of a tantrum. But Lindsay, I want to make a lot of money selling digital products without having to actually work. Okay, I know you're probably not saying that to me, but admit it, it's what you're thinking. Heck, it's what we're all thinking. This is the entrepreneurial dream. And this can absolutely be your reality one day, kind of. I know that so many online entrepreneurs have that goal to create passive, self-generating revenue with a fully automated sales funnel and self-guided courses, or once-a-year launches with the team doing all the boring work while you get to play on social media and create kick-ass content. And truly, you can have this. But, and this is a very important but, you cannot skip the most important years in your business. The getting your hands dirty, playing in the garden of your business, getting up close and personal with your market, face to virtual face or face to physical face. It's the scary, frustrating, hard work that you must do first. Friends, remember, you do not graduate high school and then get given a scalpel to perform your first brain surgery as soon as you toss your graduation cap in the air because you decided you want to be a brain surgeon. You have to get more education, practice a lot, intern, learn, make mistakes, fall on your face once or twice, do the scary things outside your comfort zone, and spend many years along a very precise journey before you'll ever perform your first solo brain surgery. And okay, I'm not a brain surgeon, so I don't know the exact steps, but you get my point. This is no different in business, and anyone who tells you they went from earning $0 to $100,000 in their first 6 months is not telling you the whole story. They are doing you a disservice, and odds are they're just trying to sell you something. In reality, they've probably been at it a lot longer, years longer, and have been building their list, getting to know their market, trying and failing with a few different ideas, and have now applied all their learning, their new skills, their previous assets, research, large audience, engaged email list, and the help of digital marketing professionals and sales funnel experts to create their 0 to 100K in 6 months launch. And that's the part that people don't often share. They went from 0 to 6 figures in 6 months. Even if they show receipts, I guarantee for like 99.99% of people that say that, they have been in business for a long time, and it was a specific launch, a new program, a new product, a new course. But you can't sell something if you don't have an audience to buy that thing. You got to build that first. I was at a fabulous talk hosted by This Brand is Female in Vancouver last week, and my friend Kelsey from Birch Babe was sharing the story of Birch Babe Skincare. And I love what she said about how businesses take on average 10 years to really hit critical mass. Because her company is a skincare company, she referenced companies like Lush and Sage and another one that I forgot. And she reminded us all that those all took 10 plus years to get to critical mass. And it's very rare that we find a unicorn, as they are called, in business that have massive growth that fast. I love this quote from Tom Clancy: "An overnight success is 10 years in the making." So if somebody is out here telling you that you can go from 0 to 6 figures in 6 months by creating your own digital course, but you have no connection to your market, what they want, what they'll pay for. You haven't mapped out and created your own proprietary system or process that's even worthy of being in a course. And you are still petrified of putting yourself out there and doing sales. You've got some work to do first. Your business and you deserve the time it takes to get to know your market, get to know your audience, get to perfect your craft, and get to build up your confidence beyond fake it till you'll make it, beyond successful on social media, but the bank account's actually sitting at 0 while you're eating craft dinner for the 5th time this week. Your business deserves the time it takes to be successful. Okay, so that was the sucky news around reason number 1, that you're not ready to create a course. What's the great news? Well, the digital world, access to oodles of free resources, and well worth the investment business development experts, people who can help you develop new business, have made it possible to become an overnight success sooner. I recommend that you do yourself and your business a favor and let go of the pressure to be an overnight success in 6 months. It'll probably be closer to 5 to 7 years if you're doing a lot of things right. Hunker down and get to work. Your dream deserves your hard work, and it deserves the freedom to go on the journey it needs to rise to its full glorious potential. And I'm going to have a little deviation for just a second, because remember how I said that you can absolutely have passive revenue-ish? One thing you're going to hear said in the business world is that passive income is anything but passive. Let's just clarify right now what passive revenue or passive income really means. It means that you don't have to directly trade time for money. You are not being paid per hour for what you're doing. You still have to work to create revenue, but you are able to scale and have revenue come in from something that's not tied to you directly delivering it. So non-passive income would be if you are a graphic designer and you are paid to design graphics for other companies. Now, passive revenue for that graphic designer might look like having a DIY graphic design course for smaller businesses who don't have the budget to hire a graphic designer. That graphic designer isn't doing the work of the graphic design. They've already created that course, but they still have to market and sell it. So they still have to do public speaking, networking to get affiliates and collaborations, creating content to build their email list and get eyes on their work, and create assets to be able to put into advertisements. They also still have to do the digital upkeep of wherever that course lives. They have to handle things like customer service issues or pay someone to handle that stuff. But they still have to oversee it. They still have to answer questions, even if they have a team. My point here is that when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, you're not going to just get money for doing nothing. You're always going to be doing something. But hopefully you are going from a trading time for money, one-to-one type thing into a one-to-many scalable offer where you can sell more, whether you sell 10 units, 1,000 units, 100,000 units. It's basically the same amount of work for you. And you've got the budget to hire a fantastic team to support you. All right. Make sense? Okay, let's move on to point number 2. You haven't spent enough time doing market research and validation. All right, the sucky news first. Listen, I do not disagree with the fact that you are brilliant and have a fabulous idea to change the world and help support a ton of people. Now, if you've done the work to create and launch a course, it's probably because you've picked up on a big problem people are having that you want to solve. Kudos to you. No, listen, I actually wrote this in my blog, okay? Kudos to you, radical entrepreneur. You're a legend in the making. Seriously. Sometimes, friends, I am so cheesy and I love it. If no one is buying your course, one of the reasons may be that you didn't spend enough time researching your market to understand their problem and whether or not they would actually pay you for your solution. There are a lot of problems in our lives, some big, some small. Some we will live with forever, and some we'll fix ourselves. It's not enough to recognize a problem that your target market is experiencing and getting them to agree with you in a survey or a phone call. You need to get proof that they will actually give you money to solve their problem. And this is something that I counsel new entrepreneurs, especially youth entrepreneurs, on all the time. Just because you see a problem that needs to be solved does not mean people will actually pay you to solve it. You got to ask yourself, why isn't somebody already solving this? Have they tried and failed? And this is where market research comes in. We also need to know what else is out there and who's come before us and what's working and what's not. But back to getting the proof. How do you get that proof? Well, because I primarily work with service-based businesses, I'll tell you from that perspective. You literally create a service that you can do one-on-one or in a small group, and you get people to give you their money for that service. But Lindsay, I don't want to work one-on-one or small groups, right? I hear that not all the time, but I do hear that from people. They've never worked with anybody one-on-one or in a small group, but I don't want to work one-on-one. But how will you know if what you're selling actually works? How will you know if people want what you're selling and will actually pay for it? How will you know if you're even solving the right problem and actually giving your market what they want? You need to validate your course idea by first spending some time up close and personal with your market to make sure that you're creating a digital product that is not only effective, but is needed, wanted, and something people will pay you for. In fact, in one of our YouTube shop talks, we talked about this. We talked about the ethics around creating a course when you haven't actually created your own proprietary process or system. You haven't actually worked with people. You don't know if this course is any good and it's going to actually create transformation or have a positive impact. Will this course that you're promoting and marketing and selling actually deliver on the promise that you're making? And there are some ethical ramifications in there. As I believe I said in the YouTube live, I think I said something along the lines of, hey, a sucker is born every day. And if you have no moral qualms about going out there and taking advantage of people who don't know better, do your thing. But odds are, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're in my world, that's not how you roll. So you need to not only validate that people want and will pay you for what you've got, but you have to make sure that your course is actually going to deliver on the promise that you're making. Will it actually take people through a transformation? You have to be able to replicate yourself when you're not in the room, when you're not working with them. Okay, let's talk about the great news. Working one-on-one and in small groups with your target market is the best market research you will ever do. It will become the backbone of your marketing messaging and strategy. It'll be the source for your content, for future programs and cool new products. It'll become the backbone of your email marketing sequence and sales funnels. It's where you build a stellar reputation as an expert and fabulous person to know. It'll lead to referrals and introductions to new opportunities. And it will be the backbone of your badass confidence as someone who is dang good at what they do. And if you've been around me, you know I'm going to say this. It's also the quickest and least expensive way to generate revenue, which is a heck of a lot easier than creating and launching an entire course, especially if you don't have an email list or a social media audience to sell it to. I don't want you to run away from working with people first. It is an important step along your journey to automated passive revenue streams. And that brings us to number 3. Your sales funnel has a leak. All right, the sucky news. At this point, if you have validated your course idea and that people will, in fact, pay you for what you've got, and you've spent enough time working closely with your market to understand exactly what they need and how to communicate and sell it with kick-ass marketing messages that speak directly to the heart of your target market, and still nobody's buying the course. All right, it might be your sales funnel. You've got a leak that needs to be plugged. It could be that the emails in your email sequence aren't being opened or clicked. That's fixable. It could be that your funnel entry point isn't wide enough, you're not getting enough of the right people, or it's not niched enough, you're getting too many of the wrong people. The journey from the top of your funnel to the final sale isn't smooth, clear, or effective. People are falling through the cracks. People are confused, they don't know what to do. They want to purchase, but they don't know how. Or you're just putting too many barriers in place. Your marketing or advertising messaging isn't hitting the mark with your target market. Your automations aren't working together to create a delightful journey for your subscribers. Your sales pitch isn't clear, dynamic, and attractive enough. This could be a confidence issue. Or your sales funnel leads aren't warm enough. And this is the most common reason. If you're familiar with the customer journey, we have 6 stages: awareness, interest, consideration, decision, purchase, loyalty, and advocacy. People don't move from awareness to purchase in a single click. Now, in my day, I think it was 7 touch points a customer needed before they would make a purchase. They needed to see you 7 different times before they'd make a purchase. I believe now that is 22 touch points. It's somewhere up in that number. I should probably quickly look it up. Let me quickly Google it. Hang on. How many touch points before a sale? Hang on. Oh my God, this one says between 1 and 50. Ma'am. Oh, this might not be conclusive. This one is saying 8. This one is saying 300. This one is saying between 1 and 50. All right. 6 to 8 marketing touch points. Listen, if it's 6 to 8, I will take it. But here's what I'm going to say. Whether it's 50 touch points, 300 touch points, it isn't. It is not 300 touch points, or it's 8 touch points. Whatever it is, your audience, your subscribers, your community members, they have to see you or hear from you out in the world a certain number of times before that trust begins to get built. And the reason we talk about these touch points is because the more that we see things, the more that we begin to trust them. Honestly, whether they're trustworthy or not, it kind of works the same thing with fake news and misinformation. The more we see it, the more we begin to believe it, whether or not it's true. But when it comes to the customer journey, the buying journey, people do not generally go from awareness to purchase in the exact same moment. It takes time for us to build a relationship with them, for them to build trust in us. That's why we do a combination of content marketing, whether it's on social media or creating content like podcasts or YouTube or blogs. That's why we want to get folks onto our email list where we can nurture that relationship. We can share a bit about ourselves and our expertise directly into their inbox so they get to know us and get to like us and trust what we're all about. And here's the thing, I'll tell you, I made the mistake of clicking on an ad. It was about Facebook ads for introverts, and I was really curious what it was because it might be something I recommend to my community, this cool course. But ever since then, I've been getting targeted with so many ads. Oh my God, the pressure, it is wild. But I'm seeing so many people say, people don't... I shouldn't do this voice. People don't buy from you because it's no like and trust. Okay. Or like... The reason people aren't buying as soon as they meet you is because of this. And it's, oh my God, I'm laughing, friends. This is what happens when you've been in the industry for so many years, for literal decades. It's just really funny because marketing is always changing, but the customer journey, the sales journey really doesn't change that much. It's because we have to build the know, like, trust, or familiarity, or a good reputation, or whatever. Like, we have to build that up with people. And it just always cracks me up when people will say this, and yet their marketing and advertising is doing the thing that they say doesn't work anymore. Anyways, it's like, okay, then why are you spending so much on ads? Why have I seen your ad 50 times in the past 2 days? Because the more touch points I see of you, the more I'm going to start to believe you and trust you. Can you see why I always talk about my very strong opinions more privately? You're getting it. You're getting it right now. My point is that it takes multiple touch points. People do not go from awareness to purchase in one click. And so we need to make sure with our sales funnel, we have a nice, broad, but yet niched top of funnel, that awareness stage. And then as folks move through that funnel, we are hitting them at different points, whether we're creating content or it's our email list, or you're maybe hosting. I do a lot of online community events where people get to come and get to know me and get to know my vibe, right? I do a lot of public speaking. They see me all over on this summit or this panel or this podcast, right? So for yourself, you need to remember that that sales funnel of yours, and this is why I said passive revenue is anything but passive. How are you making sure to show up in all the places, or at least several of the places where your customer, your audience is going to run into you so they can get to know your brand and you can start to build that trust up. And now here's the thing. If you have the budget to do ads, that is definitely going to speed it up, right? Because you're going to be more likely showing up on social media, especially where organic reach on social media, non-paid ad reach on social media is pretty abysmal, but paid ads can give you that boost. But this is another thing that everyone talked really frankly about at this event that I was at last week with Kelsey from Birch Babe, and just talked about how much money was spent on ads. And I looked over to my friend who has a tech company and I said, did you guys go all in on Facebook ads in the beginning? And she's like, we spent millions on Facebook ads. So you have to remember that if you're going to go the ads route, that is not, let me just boost this post, let me throw $300. That is something that takes thousands of dollars and a lot of trial and error to get to. And what I found really interesting was Kelsey had said that they had gone through, I think they said they'd gone through 8 different marketing and advertising people over the past however many years, and they've never really been able to find one that's really getting the results that they wanted. And what they're actually doing now is they are instead taking the money that they had been spending on ads and putting it towards people that are going to manage her social media because Kelsey recognized she did not want to do social media anymore. She wasn't enjoying it. It was a slog. So she's outsourcing that, and she's paying someone to teach her how they can run their own Facebook ads, because she realized no matter which marketing company she worked with, they never could get the tone of the brand right, the feel of the brand right. It was never quite them. And I found that really interesting to just, again, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars spent over years to realize, you know what, we got to bring this in-house. Nobody can do it like us. So let's learn. But guess what? It wasn't where they started. They've been in business for 5 years and expanded into hundreds of stores, right? Even myself, I worked with a marketing company for about 9 months, 10 months, I think around 2020, I believe, 2021, somewhere in there. And it was frustrating because they were certainly getting me lots of traffic to my site, but no conversions. And as I got familiar with the process and what they were doing, they were trying to appeal to people in corporate roles who wanted to start a business. And y'all know I don't work with people who want to start a business. I work with people who've already started one, and I help them amplify what they got going on, help them get sales based on what they already have. And it was frustrating. I had also asked them if they were familiar with online business models and online sales funnels, to which they said yes, and that turned out to be fake news. And even though this was a highly reputable agency, that came highly recommended from some of my business friends. Anyways, that was one heck of a deviation. So my point is that if you are doing the work, if you've got the proof, if people have paid you, if you've created the course and you built the funnels and you're still not selling, there is something amiss in your funnels. And we have to consider the 6 stages of the buy-in journey and how your sales funnel is meeting people at each stage, all the way from awareness to purchase to loyalty and advocacy, without anybody falling through the cracks. Let's talk about the great news. I don't actually have any stats on this. This is purely anecdotal from all the people that I've talked to over the years, but it seems to take an average of about 2 years for most entrepreneurs to optimize their sales funnels and then streamline that journey from stranger to happy paying customer. So don't sweat it if your first launch didn't rock your world. There's a lot of moving parts to a sales funnel and digital course launch, and it takes a lot of A/B testing and trial and error to figure it out and perfect it. You will get there. Like I said, an average of 2 years to really nail that sales funnel and those launches. So let's wrap up with a little TLDR. If you've created a brilliant digital course and nobody is buying it, make sure that, 1, you're not rushing to become an overnight success by bypassing the up close and personal, hard AF, out of your comfort zone work you need to put in to understand your target market and your role in their lives. 2, you are validating your digital course idea with market research and real life one-on-one or group work to work out all the kinks, confirm your promise of transformation actually works, and that people will pay you for it. And then number 3, make sure your sales funnel isn't leaking with leads that you've not spent any time warming up or are using ineffective or unengaging emails, content, and marketing messages. Whew! That was a big one. I hope that you found that incredibly helpful. Thank you for joining me in my slightly spicy rant. It wasn't too spicy. If you're loving the new format of the podcast, where I'm not doing as many interviews and it's more so me just riffing with y'all and sharing some ideas, sharing some thoughts, please let me know. A bunch of y'all have already been sending me some emails and some social media DMs letting me know your thoughts on the podcast and you're loving it. That makes me feel so good because I'm a human being, and putting myself out there makes me nervous just like it does for everyone else. I have like 5 podcasts in my brain and some of them are already scripted out. I cannot wait to keep going. I have so much I want to talk to you about. In the meantime, hit me up on social media. Tell me if you're planning on creating a digital course. Tell me if you already have a digital course and it's not selling. Tell me if you do have a digital course and it is selling, what's working for you. Let's get nerdy. Let's talk about courses. And remember, the most successful entrepreneurs, those who grow the fastest, are the ones who do things afraid and let themselves be a beginner and do the hard work it takes to get their business off the ground, learn their market, perfect their craft, and bring their brilliance to the world. Alrighty, that's all for me. Thank you so much for listening. I love y'all. I appreciate all of you. I'm so grateful for all of you in my life and for letting me be a little part of yours. Until next time, I'll see you online. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. You can can find all of the links mentioned in the show notes. Be sure to come find me on all socials at Radical Linz. And for more information on how you and I can create more business magic together, check out theradicalconnector.com. Now get out there and be amazing.